Welcome back, Connie. If you are just tuning in, this is still the voice of me, Ben Brashen, after a weekend in Calgary out at the Stampede, hooting and hollering. Literally. We talked
couldn't
about...
tell, Ben.
I know. I feel like I'm screaming into the microphone and nothing is coming out. But that's okay, because you got me. Scott Monroe joins us. We were actually just talking with Scott Anderson about people coming to this city, why the real estate market seems to be taking off again, why we see so many positive reports in the papers. And Scott Monroe joins us, who's consistently been in the top 3% of real estate agents since he's become a real estate agent. And he is a relocation specialist, helping people move to the Seattle area, which is a distinction that not a lot of agents share. And, well, first of all, welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah. You get to kind of be, as I said at the very beginning of the show, when we went to Calgary, granted it wasn't for a job or moving somewhere, but, I didn't know the city of Calgary at all. So having somebody who could guide us through and take us to the places we need to be is huge. You must kind of feel like a tour guide sometimes.
All the time. How'd you do with the language down there?
In Calgary, man, once I got the about down, I was all set.
That's right.
And I rocked some A's.
Love it.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about corporate relocation and home buyers coming here to Washington and Seattle.
Well, prior to, frankly, this year, there wasn't a lot going on. Everybody was getting the heck out of here for the last few years, and a lot of the corporations that we work with were not really hiring or transferring people. And a little history behind corporate relo. So, in the old days, when they transferred somebody else out of Seattle, they'd buy their house and just give them the Mac Daddy package and off they went, right? And that kind of just dried up because everybody just was getting killed, the relo companies. So I think they kind of curtailed a lot of the moving and shuffling around. And so we didn't see a whole lot of it happening, but frankly, since probably January, I've seen a big increase, from especially the last 4 or 5 years.
So what companies then do you work with, who are specifically coming here? Or not that you specifically work with, I guess just in general.
We work with Boeing, T-Mobile, Amazon, Amgen, Microsoft, Amazon, to name a few. Should have done QVC.
QVC's here?
Google, eBay. eBay was trying to shuffle a bunch of people up this last month, as a matter of fact, from down in the Bay Area, and they picked the worst month to show off the Seattle market. So
in the rain?
Not a lot of takers on that one. They're not having it. So I think if you're looking for a job, try eBay.
Yeah.
But those are some of the companies that we work with, and they're shuffling people all over the place. And
so when you say shuffle, is there just people who have the ability to maybe work within the same job that is just in a different city, or getting promotions? Why are most people shuffling?
It's usually a specialty thing. I always tell corporate clients that it's quite an achievement to get shuffled, as I put it, because I remember at a kind of a symposium thing they had years ago, they said the average corporate relo costs the company nearly $100,000. So I figure if you're going to spend that much money moving you across the country or somewhere in the world, you must be doing something right. So usually they kind of got special knowledge, special job that they need elsewhere, or experience that they're bringing to the table.
So where do a lot of these people come from? Is it all over the country? That's a lot of companies you just named.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it's probably not from one specific place, or is it?
It's all over. A lot of Californians, but Texas, the East Coast. Just had a guy actually transfer out this couple weeks ago. He's going to Boston. I had a guy come in from Scotland to work for Amgen that was a toxicologist. So it depends on, where the need is, honestly. And then when people do that, what are some of the most interesting reactions you've gotten? Because I went, I played golf with Matt Flynn with the Seahawks. And I said, Matt, did you ever think you were going to live in Seattle? And most people in a million years never think, I'm going to move to Seattle one day. Mm-hmm. Do you kind of get that same feeling? Yeah, especially most people, first question we always get is the weather. And everyone's surprised how hilly it is when they get over here, and that we actually have nice warm days. And that it's a cosmopolitan city. A lot of people don't know we're, the 13th largest market in the United States. So we suffer from that a little bit. But on the flip side, it's gorgeous here. So, I mean, people usually tap into that pretty quick.
Yeah, I think, people think we're in the mountains.
Yep.
Because all the pictures of, like, the skyline, people think like the Olympic Mountains, if they're looking that way, or from, like from West Seattle looking towards the Cascades, people literally think that the mountains are right next to the city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are. They're kind of far.
Yeah, it's funny, the perception. I grew up in Alaska, and everybody asks if I know so-and-so because I grew up in Alaska.
So when people come here and they start touring, I guess, around the area, what are some of the areas that people get excited about?
Honestly, that depends on where they're coming. So if they come from the southeast, they're after we go through a box of Kleenex and they're done crying
About the prices.
About the prices. Then we send them south because they're not having anything to do with the inner city,
Sure.
Bellevue, Seattle. But so it depends. I mean, if it's a California people, they actually think our prices are pretty good and pretty reasonable, and they're kind of amazed that you can afford to live this close to the downtown core or whatever. So, but I find most of them are kind of in the either Redmond, Kirkland, Bellevue, or Seattle area.
And you said it's a testament to these people getting moved here already. And so they're probably taking some pretty decent jobs. It's in order to get this relocation package. So the affordability in certain areas, must be possible for people.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the discouraging part for a lot of people, especially if they come up. Seattle's an expensive place to live. And then they find out that a lot of people are surprised about the commuting here, for instance. They're getting a job at, Texas Instruments, for instance, over in Redmond, and yet they got to live, in Everett or, Maple Valley or something. And then once they see that commute, it can be pretty discouraging for some. Yeah,
there's a lot of places out there who don't have as much traffic as we do.
Yeah. I think probably most of them.
Yeah, most. Well, some people invested in rail. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
A whole other conversation.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we have. Don't worry. Again, we're here with Scott Monroe with Windermere Real Estate. Scott, what are some of the biggest questions you get when people come to Seattle? I like this. I like to kind of peer into when you get to meet the people who come in for the first time and are moving here. Mm-hmm. And I think Seattle, the people who are from here, and I know you grew up in Alaska, but you've been here for a while. And I grew up here my whole life.
I speak pretty good English, huh?
You speak really good English for Alaska. But it seems that people in Seattle really like Seattle. Mm-hmm. Like most people aren't excited to get out of here. And there's a lot, just people really enjoy being here. They love Seattle. When people come from out of the city, what do they think about it? What are those big questions they get?
Honestly, well, besides how many days a year does it rain?
And do we have the highest suicide rate?
Yeah.
That seems to be the other big one.
I haven't heard that one as much.
Oh.
Must be my good humor in the car. Schools are always a big one, because a lot of the people come and have families, and where the school's hot, where they're not. And basically the other one is, what do you do? What do you do around here in the rain?
What do you tell them?
I'd read that Seattle's one of the fittest cities in the United States, and that, surprisingly, that I don't carry an umbrella with me everywhere I go. And, usually the inclement weather is greatly exaggerated.
Well, the funny part is nobody in Seattle carries an umbrella.
Isn't that the truth?
No, if you see somebody with an umbrella, they're definitely from out of town.
Tourist, yeah.
Yeah, nobody carries an umbrella around here.
Yeah, or a coat, really, a big winter coat, know. But, the thing is, one of the things I ask everybody, frankly, especially before they come, is I go, what do you like to do when you're not at home? What are you into? And that helps me kind of pair them with areas and whatnot. So if they're not outdoorsy, I'm not going to be pitching them on hiking and biking and, that type of thing. But Seattle's pretty versatile. So it kind of, frankly, depends on who I'm talking to. If they're a, techie person, then we'll kind of lean that way. If they're going to be outdoorsy, we're going to talk about that.
And so it seemed that Seattle does kind of offer a full spectrum of things to do throughout the year.
I love it. I mean, I call it using the city. I live in West Seattle, for instance, and I use the city because I dig it. I mean, it's a great eating town. It's got just stuff going on all the time that I love. My sister lives in New Zealand, for instance, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But I came back last year and was cruising around Seattle on a sunny day, just loving it, going, man, this is a jamming place to live. And then, went up to the San Juans, and when you really get to know the area, I love it here. I love it.
Yeah, in winter, you go up to the mountains.
Yeah.
It really does offer something all year round.
It really does. And if it snows, they're going to shut the city down, so you might as well enjoy it for a few days.
Right.
So that's the other thing too. People think it snows a lot more than it actually does here.
Yeah. Is snow? I mean, it's a big misconception. The amount of rain. What about the real estate market specifically? Do people have misconceptions about that?
Not really. Actually, I find that most people, well, except for, like I said, the people from the South that are used to, getting 14 acres for $95,000 in a 3,000 square foot house, they're going to be bitter when they come up here. But for the most part, people that live in the city and kind of understand that, sometimes they're surprised, like, for instance, in the city where I work, a lot of old houses, and so that's a bummer for me often when they're coming from California or something. They're going to get a more modern, newer house, and they're looking at something that, was built in 1935 and on a small lot, so that's a surprise.
So it tends to be kind of the ages of houses coupled with the price.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just the amenities and, people, for instance, over there remodel, but they don't do it to the, like I call it the East Side houses over here, where you get the more modern features that everybody likes. They have to sacrifice something most of the time.
Yeah. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us again. Scott Monroe with Windermere Real Estate. And, I guess most of your clients probably aren't even sitting around the Seattle area, the new ones that you'll have. So, hopefully they're listening online.
No, that's about only less than 1/5 of what I do.
Oh, okay. Got
hopefully
it.
they are too.
Hopefully they are too. We do stream live, so they can
then
catch
we're
us.
in business.
We are all good, Scott.
Rocket. Okay.
Hey, all right. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're going to run a break. When we come back, Scott Monroe and Scott Anderson, the Scotts, are going to join us. We're going to talk more about the real estate market that we have seen right now here in Seattle. We'll be right back after this break.